Imagine an empire torn between profit and piety, a global power standing at the crossroads of commerce and conscience. On one side, traders and officials who wanted India to remain untouched by religious agitation. On the other, fiery missionaries determined to bring the Bible to the farthest corners of the subcontinent. Their arrival would ignite debates in Britain and in India, reshape education, and entangle itself in one of the oldest social systems in the world, the caste hierarchy. Welcome to Sands of History, where we journey into the stories, struggles, and turning points that shaped civilizations. If you enjoy deep explorations like this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to help us keep producing in-depth history content, you can find links to support us financially in the description below. Today, we explore Christian evangelism in India during British rule, its controversies, its impact on education, and its uneasy relationship with caste. Debate over missionary activity in India. The Charter Act of 1813. For much of the early British presence in India, evangelism was not welcome. The East India Company was primarily concerned with trade spices, textiles, tea, and with maintaining stability across a diverse empire. Religion was seen as dangerous, something that could disturb local customs and provoke resistance. From the late 18th century, however, pressure grew back in Britain. Evangelical movements, inspired by the likes of William Wilberforce, argued that Britain had a moral duty to spread Christianity and reform Indian society. Missionaries from societies like the Baptist Missionary Society and the Church Missionary Society lobbied tirelessly to gain access to India. The debate came to a head during the renewal of the Charter Act of 1813. For the first time, Parliament openly debated whether missionaries should be allowed into British India. Opponents, many connected to the East India Company, warned that evangelism would inflame religious tensions, undermine the company's profits, and destabilize the fragile balance of power. As one company official put it, India's customs were ancient and immovable, and tampering with them would be dangerous. Supporters countered with fiery rhetoric. William Wilberforce declared that Britain's rule in India carried not just political responsibilities, but spiritual ones. To him and his allies, evangelism was part of Britain's divine mission. In the end, a compromise was reached. The Charter Act of 1813 allowed missionaries to operate in India, though under regulation. It also set aside funds for the promotion of education and knowledge among Indians. This marked the beginning of a new era in India, where commerce and Christianity would increasingly intertwine. The role of Christian education in creating an English-speaking elite. While evangelism often faced resistance in temples, mosques, and villages, the classroom became the true battlefield of ideas. Missionaries quickly realized that education was the most effective tool for spreading Christian influence. Schools established by missionaries taught reading, writing, and arithmetic, but always with the Bible at the center of the curriculum. Students learned not just English, but also Christian morals. Missionaries hoped that by educating India's youth, they could reshape society from within. One of the most influential institutions was Serampore College, founded by William Carey and his fellow missionaries in Bengal. It offered training not only in theology, but in literature, science, and medicine, an ambitious attempt to produce a new kind of Indian elite. The British government itself gradually adopted this educational strategy. In 1835, Thomas Babington Macaulay wrote his famous Minute on Indian Education, declaring that Britain should create a class of persons Indian in blood and colour, but English in taste, in opinions, in morals, and in intellect. Macaulay envisioned an English-speaking elite that could act as intermediaries between the colonial rulers and the masses. This idea aligned closely with missionary efforts. By teaching English, Christian schools opened the doors to government jobs and upward mobility. Many Indians flocked to missionary schools not out of religious conviction, but because they offered a path to modern careers and social advancement. Yet this had unintended consequences. While missionaries hoped their students would embrace Christianity, Many instead used English education to read about democracy, liberty, and nationalism. Graduates of missionary schools would later play central roles in India's independence movement. The very education designed to reinforce empire became a weapon against it. How Christianity intersected with caste hierarchies. If education was the most visible tool of evangelism, caste was its most stubborn obstacle. Missionaries often preached equality before God, claiming that in Christ there was neither high nor low. This message resonated with many from lower caste or Dalit communities, who saw in Christianity an opportunity for dignity and liberation. Mass conversions of lower caste groups occurred in several regions, particularly in South India. Christianity provided them with new communities and, in theory, equal status. For some, baptism became a form of protest against centuries of exclusion. But the story was not so simple. In practice, caste divisions often crept into the church itself. Upper caste converts sought to maintain their privileges, resisting full integration with Dalit Christians. Separate seating arrangements, segregated communion, and caste-conscious marriage practices persisted within Christian communities. Missionaries themselves struggled with how to handle caste. Some opposed it vehemently, refusing to recognize caste distinctions in their congregations. Others, worried about losing converts, tolerated caste practices within churches. As historian Rowena Robinson has noted, Christianity in India provided a new identity, but not complete liberation from caste. This tension shaped Indian Christianity into a unique form. On one hand, it opened doors for marginalized groups. On the other, it reproduced old hierarchies under a new religious label. The larger legacy. By the late 19th and early 20th centuries, Christian evangelism had left deep marks on India. It had produced an English-speaking elite, many of whom went on to become nationalist leaders. It had provided education, medical care, and printing presses that reshaped Indian intellectual life. It had also created Christian communities that grappled with the dual identities of faith and caste. For the British, evangelism was both a tool and a burden. It helped justify colonial rule as a civilizing mission, but it also provoked resistance and nurtured the seeds of anti-colonial movements. For Indians, Christianity was both a path to empowerment and a reminder of imperial intrusion. The debates that began in 1813 continued for decades. Was evangelism about saving souls or about extending empire? Was education a gift or a strategy of control? Was Christianity truly equal, or did it carry with it the weight of caste and colonial hierarchy? These questions remain part of India's historical memory, shaping the way religion, politics, and education are discussed even today. Conclusion. The story of Christian evangelism in India during British rule is a complete failure. It is about ideals clashing with realities, about faith entangled with power, and about a society negotiating change under the shadow of empire. If you found this journey into history insightful, please like, share, and subscribe to Sands of History. It helps us reach more people and continue telling the stories that shaped our world. And if you'd like to go a step further, consider supporting us financially through the links in the description. Your support allows us to keep producing detailed, research-driven content. Until next time, thank you for watching, and remember, history is never just the past, it is the foundation of the present.